Welcome back to Restauranttopia. We got the famous, the sensation of the internet, Chip Klose, with his new book, Restaurant Marketing Mindset. Chip, thank you for being on. I got Anthony Hamilton here as my co-pilot on this amazing journey that we're going to go down the rabbit hole on your book. We want to hear all about it, all the pro tips in there. We're all a big fan of your content. Chip, welcome to the show.
Oh man, I'm so glad to be back. I mean, it was a million years ago, it feels like, when the first time I came on and we did a 2 episode split and there was so much good stuff on there. Yeah, I mean, it
You
was
got
a
to think
long time ago.
37, 38. That was right after we got kickstarted. Heck, we're on 158 now or something like that. So
Yeah.
You
it's been
guys
a
are
while.
doing
I'm glad to have you
you
back,
guys have
brother.
you guys have been doing some incredible stuff over the last couple of years. So I'm thrilled to watch your guys' growth. You're there trying to serve the independents. I'm doing the same, and I appreciate you having me back.
Imagine a perfect world where you can build a restaurant, open the doors, and make loads of money. Unfortunately, those days are over. It takes great leadership, hard work, and long hours to operate a successful restaurant. Together, we can make it happen. This is Restauranttopia.
What was kind of your mindset like as far as who's the audience of this book? Who is this? If you're XYZ, you got to go out and buy this today.
For the record, I'm not here to sell this book. I'm just really passionate about the book. I'm really proud of it. It's out in the world. People will get it or they won't get it. I'm here because it's on my mind because there's a lot of stuff that I'm thinking about now, and people are talking to me about it. And so I'm here to I hope, even if nobody buys the book, it's totally fine. If you come away from this conversation having learned more and being able to implement some stuff in your business, that's why I'm here. I'm really passionate about the book. I think the book will help people, but I'm not here to sell books. I wrote this book for independent operators out there. So I've been in this industry for 24 years. Primarily, I work now with independent owners and operators all over the country. And there are things that I think they can do that they don't realize they can do that the big companies do. And so when I have conversations with independents, I say, hey, tell me about your marketing. And they say one of two things, right? Either one, they say, oh, let me tell you about all my social media.
Mm-hmm.
Or number two, they say, oh, we don't do marketing. We can't afford to do marketing, or I don't have time, or we're not some big company. That's why I wrote the book, because I want independent owners and operators to just shift their mindset, change the way that they think about marketing. Marketing is simply about understanding if you sell something to other human beings, which I'm guessing all of the listeners of this show do, right? They sell food, they sell meals, they sell experiences, right? If you guys sell something to other human beings, you got to figure out which human beings are most apt to buy from you. And then you have to figure out how you can convince those human beings to buy from you as opposed to somewhere else. So just on the ground floor, right? It was about shifting independent owners and operators' mindset when it comes to marketing, understanding really what it is. It's about making sure you understand who wants what you have, right? Or how you can serve people and how
Mm-hmm.
you can convince people that you have the solution to their problem. That's the first big shift. Even if people just make it through the first 5 pages of the book and they come away with that, I will have done my job. If you're in business, you have to market. It's just changing the definition for what marketing is. That's why I wrote it, because I think independence would be so much better and we would crush all of the big chains, all of these big behemoths. I think we would crush them because our product is better if we just did a couple of these key things.
I agree.
I haven't been on in so long, Brian. I'm clamoring to get a word in, but you go ahead, my
Oh,
man.
no, I tell you what, I don't want to steal the show. Go ahead, Anthony.
All right, cool. Then I'll take it. I don't mind if I do. So anyway, we look at this, Chip, and there's one thing that I love about redefining the marketing approach, because a lot of times we look at marketing as this big scary notion that's expensive and the things we can't do. And you really hit home with me when you talked about the oftentimes they neglect kind of showcasing the one piece of marketing that they forget about, and that's the experience itself, right? And I had this conversation with an operator not too long ago, and I said, listen, like, arguably the most quintessential piece of your marketing platform should be delivering the best possible experience to the guest in the shortest amount of time, right? It doesn't need to be harder than that, but it's every guest, it's every sandwich, it's every piece of pepperoni on a pizza. All those things are marketing in and of itself. And I absolutely love it. I think it's page 55 if you want to reference. I got my finger on it here. But that kind of stopped me in my tracks. It's like, damn, that's right after my own heart. And that's like marketing in its most simplistic form. But I love how you brought that up in the book. And again, as Brian said, it's a great piece so far, man. Really incredible, commonsensical, and applicable stuff you got here.
I love how you split it up into just digestible 4 sections, and you got the foundation, internal marketing, external marketing, and putting it all together. But I want to start with internal marketing and the gems that I found in there that I thought were really next level. And that's being an ambassador and storytelling, or story selling, as you have in the book.
Story
Like,
selling, yeah.
I think too often internal marketing is not even on the radar of an independent operator, when it should be front. Again, it's the second chapter of your book. It should be on the forefront. That's the easiest place. As Dave Ross always says, like, why are we sticking our head out the window looking for customers down the street when we have so many customers right in our own store?
So, there's this one of the best business books that's ever been written. It's probably my favorite business book, is Good to Great by Jim
Yeah.
Collins.
Oh yeah.
Good to Great came out in 2001. If there's anybody listening that hasn't read it, it's the best book you can read.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, a lot of the examples and case studies are outdated. You're not going to know a lot of the companies that they were talking about then, but the ideas are absolutely transferable to everything we do here now. One of the things he talks about is this idea of the flywheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we need to make sure that the system, the machine, that the wheel, like what a flywheel does, is that once you get it spinning, momentum just keeps it spinning. And we talk so much, right? To your point, we talk so much about when I say marketing, immediately when I say, "Hey, tell me about your marketing," you think of email marketing. Oh, you think about your social media. Oh, you
Mm-hmm.
think about the Google ads that you run. Oh, you think about your website. You think about SEO. All of that's important, but that's all ways to capture new business, right? Or to
Mm-hmm.
recapture business. That really, I mean, to what Anthony was just saying, right? Internal marketing, the experience itself. I define internal marketing, right? Most companies talk about internal marketing as how you talk to your staff, right? How do you talk to your employees? For me, it's four walls marketing.
Yeah.
Everything inside the four walls, right? The experience itself, and the ways that you communicate to your staff and patrons there. And then external is just everything beyond. And I do internal first purposely because mostly when we talk about marketing, everybody thinks about external marketing. And those things are crucial, but they're no more important because, like you said, Brian, you've got people coming in. The people that are already there, let's make sure they have a great time. Let's make sure they're spreading the word about us. Let's make sure that they
Mm-hmm.
know they're welcome back. Let's make sure we can get them back. So that any new person we come in that gets put into the flywheel, we know there's a system in place to get them back. There's a system in place to get them talking and spreading the word about us, about being great ambassadors and great evangelists for the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Then we use all of our external marketing efforts, just get people in the flywheel. But we know the flywheel's spinning, man. That thing's got momentum, and everybody we put in does what we want them to do, meaning have a great time, go tell people that they had a great time, come back because they
Mm-hmm.
know they can have a great time again.
I think that piece can't be lost in a soup there, so to speak, because in the doldrums of restaurant life, and as you know, Chip, you spend a lot of time in restaurant space. Customers become like a sea of gray faces after a long Saturday night shift. The last half of the night, you're exhausted, you're stressed, you're just kind of slogging through it, right? So it becomes largely impersonal. It's more transactional. And it's one thing we do with company wide and the people we talk to is try to remember to snap back into place and keep that mindset alive, is that every customer is an audition for their next visit, right? And it's up to great
100%. I
leadership, to your
love
point,
that. I love
right?
that. Yeah, there's this thing that I talk a lot about with my clients, and it didn't quite make it into the book. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but sometimes I say, and what I do when I used to be a consultant, I would come in, I say, no, I would say to the management team, I'd say to the owner, I said, you know very little about your people. You know very little about who's here, why they're here, what brings them in, and what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that by the hollow table touches you do, right? How's everyone enjoying everything? Good, good. Okay,
Good.
great,
Good.
great, great. Yeah. I went out to dinner last night and we had two hollow table touches, literally the exact same table touch, just as hollow as the first one in a row. And there was such an opportunity. It was my birthday. I put down there when I made the reservation, are you celebrating anything? On Resi, they allow you to do it. I said, I'm celebrating my birthday. They said, okay. At no point, what an opportunity to come over and say, hey, how's everyone enjoying everything? Oh, we're good, good. Listen, I don't want to interrupt you, but I did want to wish you a happy birthday tonight. Like, how human that would be. One of the things that I do with my clients is that I say, get a little notebook, or I'll buy them a notebook and I'll give it to them. I say, tonight, you need to learn something important about every single table in the dining room, right? It's so and so's birthday. Their daughter just got into Stanford. So and so just
Yeah.
made the football team. Somebody, Write something, because, and that's what should go into Resi and Open Table. So the next time they come in, you can say, hey, how's your daughter's first semester at Stanford? Hey, is your son is he in the starting lineup, right? Or you can call up and say, hey, I know the season starts on Friday night, big game. What are you guys doing afterwards? Can you guys come in? We'll save a table for you guys. Hopefully you guys will be celebrating a big win. That's something that helps you create more hospitality, but also generate more business, because you can call and say, hey, Thanksgiving break is coming up. I assume your daughter's going to come home from Stanford.
Mhm.
Why don't we bring her in? We can celebrate her first semester. We'd love to see you guys. On the surface, you're just being nice. On the backside, you're generating 4 covers worth of revenue. Like, the goals are completely aligned. You actually do a better job by being more human, and make a more successful business by being more human.
And it's largely free.
Free, absolutely free.
But that's doing the work. That's putting in the push-ups. And so many people think that there's a quick fix to this, and it's not. It's simple, but it's not easy, as we all talk about. I know you talk about, Chip. We talk about it on our podcast. It's so simple to do what you need to do. You're doing the table touch, but you're doing it so, and I have to edit this out because I'm going to cuss. You're doing it so horrible that in such with a lackluster style, just because you're a student of the game, Chip, you're like dissecting the table touch, but the customer does the same things consciously or subconsciously. They're like, oh, that guy was walking 3 steps away as he was asking me how I'm doing, and I had no chance to respond. And
100%.
And he
Do you know
did
what's
say,
really funny?
"Happy
You know what's
birthday."
really funny? All the time we spend worrying about our food, the
Yeah.
flavors and the menus and the wine list and the cocktails,
Mm-hmm.
our guests know relatively little
Yeah.
about the food, the beverage, and all of that. They largely just trust us to do it. They know if it's good or not. They know if it's got too much salt or not. But our guests know a lot about lighting and
Yeah.
music
Mm-hmm.
and conversation. And they know when you look them in the eye and when you don't look them in the eye. So all the time we spend trying to get to a really great menu together,
Yeah.
if we put just half as much energy in making sure we look guests in the eyes and actually invite them back and actually compliment them and actually get them what they wanted, man, our businesses would be unstoppable.
And using, as you put in the book, story selling. If you did put, if you're just a foodie and you paired the Chilean sea bass with this side and this wine, and you notice that they got that, you can tell the story behind that and why you did that and why you think it pairs so well with a red versus a white, and why you put the ingredients in it that you did.
Yep.
If you can have some sort of connection, an actual conversation versus, oh, that weather is getting cold out there, or
It's
like, just stop it. Stop being a. Again,
there's
I'm
a
gonna cut this out.
restaurant is a restaurant in Brooklyn, and this I talk about in the book. There's a restaurant in Brooklyn called Olmsted. Chef
Mhm.
Greg Backstrom, he used to work at Alinea. He's got incredible pedigree, right? He
Mhm.
opened this really low key, high end food, like top quality food, but in a low key environment. Exposed brick, wood tables and chairs. It's really low key. But on their menu descriptions, what the staff gets, right? They have, what's the protein, how is it cooked, what's the
Mhm.
sauce, what's the all of that. And at the very bottom of every item, it says stories we can tell. Here are some stories about where we sourced this ingredient, what the inspiration of the dish was, why we named it like this, some interesting facts about the sauce. That every dish has at least one. Most dishes have multiple stories.
Wow.
That tells you what you're doing, why you're doing it, and why somebody should care. In the book, I talk about it. I say, when somebody says, "Hey, can you tell me about the salmon?" They don't
Mhm.
want you to say, "Well, it's blah blah blah, pan seared, served to 135 degrees, served over." They don't say, "Well, you know what? The inspiration, it's a riff on this dish that the chef had when he was blah blah blah. So we sear it up. The sauce has all these flavors from blah blah blah." They want the story. They don't want
Mhm.
to know the crap, the technique of it. They largely don't know. They don't
Yeah.
understand. But when you tell them the inspiration, the story behind it, why it's on the menu, why it's one of the 9 entrees on the menu,
Yeah.
that's what they're asking for. That's what they care about.
They don't want to cook this stuff at home. They want to
They
come to your
can't.
restaurant and eat it and have the experience. And they want that. They again, if you want to serve food pellets and have a sanitized, industrial environment and, have a bunch of microwaves in the back, then that's, go there's, and it's,
Yep.
rhymes with Applebee's or whatever it is, but like you go do that. Like, I'm sure you can get a franchise. You'll love it. But like, that's not what local independents do. That's not the,
Yep.
hospitality that you need to provide.
What we do is we have personality as
Yep.
independents, right? We literally, right? There are people who made a restaurant. There are people who run the restaurant. There are people who oversee that restaurant. Your restaurant should be an extension of who you are, what you believe, your connection to the community, all of that. And I'm not telling anybody listening to this knows
Yeah.
that. What I do hope you see is that there are more and better ways for you to communicate that you can't take it for granted.
You can't.
You just have to do it.
And this goes right into the section of your book on external marketing with content is king. And everyone has heard that saying. And it's, I'm sure there's marketers out there like yourself, Chip, that have that tattooed across their back and, just love content. And because content resonates so much. No one laughed on that, just for the audience. If you're listening to the podcast, no one thought that was funny. But
no, because I assume he does have it tattooed on his back.
Thanks.
It wasn't that far fetched for me. I know the guy.
All right, that's nice, good. But it is so true, and I think so many people lose it when I think that story is so cool with the stories on the menu, because no one is telling the story, and they should be. They always should be kind of putting together that content, and it's not 5 photos and whatever else standard internet content that is out there that everyone pulls out of, like, how do I market my restaurant? These are actually great tips that will propel your restaurant and propel your marketing and propel your brand, because you're telling the story with your content.
The key to the book is that, the podcast I host is called Restaurant Strategy. The book is called The Restaurant Marketing Mindset. Mm-hmm. It's a strategic, I believe in strategies, because tactics change all the time. The tips, the tricks, it's always going to change. But the overarching strategy, the mindset that I think we have to get into, which is, what are we doing? How are we doing it better than anyone else? Why does that matter? Why should anyone else care? Mm-hmm. How do we continue to tell people in all that? How do we make it obvious in the way we serve our food, plate our food, price our food, the way that we decorate our dining room, the way we talk to our guests, the way we communicate with them when we email them, and all of that. All of that has a whole lot to do with their enjoyment of the experience and their willingness to come back and enjoy the experience. Really, what I'm trying to say is that this is something that people do already, so let's just do it better. Let's do it more intentionally. Yep. That's in the book, there are a series of mindset shifts that say, hey, I want you to think about this differently. Think this, think this way. And hopefully, I did a course a couple of years ago, and it was a marketing course, and it was so good. And the teacher basically said, we're going straight, but what we're going to do is we're going to give a 10-degree shift, a 10-degree shift, 10-degree shift, 10-degree shift, and we're going to do a little bit to the right, a little bit to the right, a little bit to the right. We made enough right turns that we eventually go back in the direction we were headed, except now we have perspective, because we looked to the right, we looked behind us, we looked to the left, and then we went back forward. So we're doing the same stuff we did at the beginning of the book, except now we have perspective because we have a series of mindset shifts. We're thinking differently about what we do. That I was so taken by that when I took this online course a few years back, 5-6 years ago, that I wanted to do that with this book, that it's a series of shifts that by the end you're facing forward again. You just have a more intentional, specific way to go about it.
That was an interesting part of the book, was the mindset shift, like, repeatedly in there, as just called out and said, all right, this is the mindset shift, along with the assignment, which I loved, because you can read good to great, but can you apply that to your restaurant? I would say that takes a ton more work versus saying, all right, I got assignment number 17. I got assignment, was assignment 21 is the one that I marked here that I wanted to bring up. No, I got my memory's shit. So I don't have it just off the top of my head. I got
join the club, brother. Join the club.
Here. And that's something that we're putting out this year, is a marketing calendar. And
Great.
I think that is the most underutilized tool that you have to put in the work. You have to put in the push-ups. But I think you used the example like Valentine's Day is going to be Valentine's Day next year, just like the year after. And
That's right.
October is going to be Halloween. Like these things come every year.
Yep.
And like, I shocked at the people with the surprise on their face of like, oh my gosh, Thanksgiving's next week. Like
Valentine's Day,
you didn't know
Valentine's Day is a great example, Brian, because we go through, and anybody who's in the restaurant industry knows, you get through November and December and you're crushed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you usually take a day or two off or whatever right around the new year, and you come back and let's say it's January 4th. And the reservation book for Valentine's Day opens up on the 14th. You've got 10 days to come up with your menu, price that menu, print the menu, get it edited, get all your copy, prep your blog post, your social media stuff, schedule a shoot to shoot the food. I mean, all that stuff's got to happen in 10 days. And years ago, I just went, stop the insanity. It comes every single year. So let's just loop in Valentine's Day with the holidays. And in August or September, we'll plan for Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and New Year's Eve and Valentine's Day. By then, we'll make the decision on what's on the menu, what are we going to price the menu at, how many covers we're going to do, so that people can start putting the press release together. Somebody can start scheduling the shoots. Somebody can start working up the email, the e-blast about it. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. When you get 10 days to do it, you're sunk. You're absolutely screwed.
I completely agree. Completely agree. I think this book is great. I think it's a tool for anyone that is an owner operator of a restaurant to use. I'm sure they're already fans of your podcast, Chip. We are for sure. Where else can people find you? Where can they get the book? There'll be a link, obviously, in our show notes on restauranttopia.com. But where can they find you? Where can they follow you? Tell us more, Chip.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. So you can get the book anywhere you get books. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble, especially for anybody outside of the United States listening to it. Those are going to be your best bets. Amazon probably. For those in the United States, if you want to go first party instead of third party, right? We're trying to drive customers to order from our website directly instead of going to DoorDash and Uber Eats and Grubhub. If you want to go first party, you can support me by going to the website, therestaurantmarketingmindset.com. You can order your book right there, and every cent generated there goes directly to me, just like you make out better when people order from your website directly instead of Uber Eats. I make out better. That simply helps me write more books and publish more books. So either of those places. If you want to learn more about the podcast, you can go to restaurantstrategypodcast.com to learn all about past episodes, speaking gigs, other things that I got going on. And I appreciate you giving me the chance to send people to those places.
And if you didn't think Chip knew restaurants, that example of how to get his book and that third party is evil that may go down in Restaurantopia history as the best of. That was pretty good, Chip. I like that. That's a nice analogy.
Yeah, wonderful, man.
Thank you so much for being on. Looking forward to your next book because this one was so good. So I'm sure there'll be another one, Chip. Thank you so much.
Working on the next one already. Guys, I appreciate the time. Thank you for letting me share this with the audience.
Awesome.
Love it. It's good stuff, Chip. Good stuff, man. Get the book, y'all.
This is a high quality pod. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Adios.
Thank you for listening to Restaurantopia. The gratitude that we have for each and every one of you spending your precious time to listen to this podcast is immeasurable. Please make sure to tell a friend about this podcast. And also, if you have any feedback for us, visit us on restaurantopia.com and drop us a line. You can also subscribe on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Thank you and have a great day.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Hillcrest Food Service. If you are a local independent restaurant and are looking for a distributor who has chef and operational consulting, provides marketing support, does menu reviews, and most importantly, wants you to be successful, reach out to Hillcrest Food Service at hillcrestfoods.com.